All right, first things first, let's talk about our application problem today. Now, I know that this is a story problem, so I'm going to first start with an R, D, W. And if you didn't get a chance to watch Scout's video earlier this week, you know that R stands for read. We read it like a reader and a mathematician. D stands for draw, and W stands for write. So first thing we need to do is read this problem like a reader. Adrian's garden has 9 rows of cucumbers. Each row has 8 cucumbers. There is also 1 row with 8 watermelon plants. How many cucumber and watermelon plants does Adrian have in all? Okay, I read that like a reader. Now let's get our highlighters ready, or your pencil to underline, whichever you prefer. Let's read it like a mathematician. Adrian's garden has 9 rows of cucumbers. All right, I'm going to highlight 9 rows because it tells me exactly how many rows to draw. Each row has 8 cucumbers. I'm going to highlight each row has 8 so I know how many columns there are. There is also 1 row with 8 watermelon plants. Ooh, interesting. 1 row with 8. How many cucumber and watermelon plants does Adrian have in all? Highlighting in all so I know what I'm trying to find. So now that I've read that like a reader and a mathematician, I can go ahead and I can check off my read it like a reader and a mathematician box. Now it's time to do my drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take a look at my first highlighted portion, 9 rows. Now remember, rows go this way. Columns are up and down. So I have 9 rows of cucumbers. Now I'm going to draw it just like it says because I think they gave us this information like this for a reason. So I'm going to draw 9 rows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we have 9 rows. Each row has 8 cucumbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now I'm going to pause my video and go ahead and draw the rest of this in because that's going to take me a minute. That's okay. It's going to help me with my problem. It's going to help me solve this answer or solve this problem with the correct answer. So I want you to go ahead and do the same thing in your notebook or on your whiteboard if you're following along with me. Okay. I have my 9 rows with E8 in each row. Okay, now I'm going to continue reading before I start to solve any major problems. There is also 1 row with 8 watermelon plants. So that tells me I need to add another row at the bottom. Now I'm going to add X's instead of my little dots so that I know that these are watermelon plants instead of cucumbers. I know that there are 8 of them, so it matches pretty perfectly with the cucumbers. Okay, I have my drawing. Now it's time to figure out how many plants Adrian has all together. So first thing I want to do is let's look at my cucumbers. My cucumbers, I have 9 groups of 8, or 9 rows of 8. Now, if I use my 9s trick, I count 8 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tuck that down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 10s and 2 1s, which tells me that is 72. So I know that Adrian has 72 cucumbers. Now let's figure out exactly how many watermelons he has. I have 1 group of 8, or 1 row of 8. Now, I know from Tuesday's lesson that any number times 1 is that number. So 1 times 8 gives me 8. Now, I have 2 numbers here. Is one of these my answer? Nope, it sure isn't. I need to add them. I have 72 plus 8 more. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to scoop this up so you guys can see. 72 cucumbers plus 8 watermelons 72 and 8 more gives me 80. I know that Adrian has 80 plants in all. Okay, now I could have looked at this as one problem altogether. I could have said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 groups of or rows of 8 because they all have 8 in them. And guess what? 10 times 8, 80. 10 groups of 8 gives me 80. Look at that. My answer's the same. I can go ahead and check my D for draw because I did my drawing already. Now it's time to do my writing. I'm going to answer this question and I'm going to explain how I got there. I'm going to start by saying Adrian planted 72 cucumbers and 8 watermelon plants. Now, I'm getting all of this information from my work and the story problem. I'm not making anything up. I'm not talking about tomatoes, and I'm not talking about rows of 54. I am giving the information that was provided in the story problem and my work here. Adrian planted 72 cucumbers and 8 watermelon plants. All together, I'm using this just what it says right here. All together, he planted 80 plants. I know this because I drew an array and multiplied the rows. Here are my rows. Rows by the columns. Ten times 8 equals 80. Boom! There it is. This is my application problem. Hopefully if you paused this and went ahead, you got the exact same answer.